Good evening. I'd like to call the January 6, 2026 meeting of the North Bend City Council to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Errol Tremolata,
Here.
Councilmember Brendan Elwood,
Present.
Councilmember Mark Jocelyn,
Present.
Councilmember Heather Cullen,
Here.
Councilmember Rob McFarland,
Here.
Councilmember Christina Rustick,
Present.
Councilmember Susan Torgerson.
Here.
All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Will the clerk please lead us in the flag salute?
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new year. How about that? Let me begin by welcoming Councilmember McFarland, and welcome back to our reappointed council members Jocelyn and Mayor Pro Tem Tremolata, and of course to Mrs. Colin, Mr. Elwood, Ms. Torgerson, and Ms. Rustick. I welcome our fun experiences ahead. So we're going to have a great time, team of 7, and I look forward to every moment. And thank you, staff. As always, I can't thank you enough, and I look forward to this year all the more with you alongside me. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to start with the approval of, I'm going to ask at this time for Mayor Pro Tem Tremolata to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda. However, prior to him doing so, now would be the time for council to inform us if they had any item that they would like to, on the consent agenda to be pulled for debate.
I would like to move the payroll vouchers off of the consent and onto main agenda.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Tremolata, would you please make that motion?
Motion to approve the January 6, 2026 agenda as set forth with the exception of the amendment by Councilmember Torgerson.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tremolata and second by Ms. Trustick. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, I was delayed.
Oh, motion carries and is fully unanimous. Thank you so much. We'll now move on to consent agenda. We have 3 items on our consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Oh,
Didn't we just do that?
No, we said the
no,
agenda.
that's the agenda.
Oh, the agenda. Okay.
This is new, so it's a little bit, we're going to have a little bit of a learning curve, but you're listening well, so I appreciate that. Did we have a second on that already?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mr. Tremolata, or Mr. Johnson, excuse me, and seconded by Mr. Tremolata. Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries and is unanimous. Thank you, one and all. If an item, let's see, let's go on. Okay, moving on to audience participation.
A point of order.
Oops.
Um,
Yes.
I believe we now need to take up whatever item of the payroll that was moved off of consent and have a conversation.
My sincerest apologies. Let's go back to that item that Ms. Torgerson did pull on, and this is the time to address that comments you'd like to make.
Great. Okay. So,
We welcome that.
the reason why I wanted to pull it is, well, originally I was concerned that these were the 2026 payroll vouchers, but I realized they're not, once I saw the agenda. But as I was doing some research, I found what I would call, from a Norwegian perspective, a big oofta. With the help of the MRSC, I discovered that the director position was revoked in the North Bend Municipal Code back in 2013, and we need to fix that properly, and I'd say right away. This motion that I'm presenting is going to approve the 2025 payroll checks that were paid correctly, but it does not ratify the pay tied to the job title that was already removed from the city code. Any payments made under the revoked job title will be set aside and clearly labeled until the legal issue is resolved. We'll set those payments like into a suspense account until the city finalizes the lawful plan and how to address this, what I call oofta issue. The motion also directs staff to report what was paid, correct the city code, and come back to council with a lawful plan to address the issue. The bottom line for my motion is it'll ratify what's legal, flag what isn't, and protects the city and employees and council while the problem gets fixed. I'll hand out my motion to you all so you have it in front of you. There you go. There's two documents there, the summary and then the motion. My motion, I'd like to make it now. I'd like to approve the payroll vouchers listed on today's January 6, 2026 agenda with the following three conditions. Exclusion of and recategorization Title 2.07 violation, that the council refuses to ratify any and all payments issued to the Administrative Services Director title as this position was previously revoked, repealed, and does not exist in the North Bend Municipal Code 2.07. I move that these specific funds be immediately recategorized as unrecognized and uncertified expenditures in the city financial records until the legal resolution is passed by this body. The limitation, the council ratifies all vouchers only at the 2025 pay scales, which is this is for the 2025 paychecks that we did in December. By ordinance 1823, we hereby reject and withhold any pay scale increases for 26 that have not been legally adopted by the ordinance as required in RCW 35A 12.130. Directive to cure, that the council directs the mayor to direct staff to provide the following to the January 20th council meeting or at the latest, the January 26th work study. The finance director will provide a certified report of all funds paid to the revoked administrative services title since the repeal of the Title 2.07. This report will be retained for auditing purposes for the state auditor's office to ensure full transparency in the mitigation of council liability. The city attorney will draft an ordinance to reconcile with the municipal code and with current staffing, a formal plan to reallocate the unrecognized funds once and only once the full legal compliance is met. Is there a second?
I will second for the purpose of conversation, yes.
Mayor, if I may, the motion raises a few legal issues that might be wise to discuss in executive session. Should you want to convene one? So would you like to convene an executive session, Mayor? And
It's not about a particular employee. This is about a legal thing. It's not about an employee. It's about legal status of our code. So it's not pertaining to the employee. It's something we need to fix to make the employee valid again. I don't know if it needs to go to executive session.
Mayor, as the chair of the meeting, you have the right to call an executive session. The executive session citation would be RCW 4230-110-1I. And I'd ask you to state how long and who should be present, including the city administrator likely and finance director.
At this point, we'll start with. I'd like Amber Emery. Be there to call and Mark. We'll start now. Thank you, folks. Start with us.
Payroll voucher. That's the simple payroll voucher.
So we'll revisit this.
Yeah.
And thank you. We are back from executive session. Thank you, everybody. And we have a motion on the floor so we can continue debate at this time.
I'll go.
You bet.
The purpose of my motion is to make us clean, to make sure that we are doing things properly. And that's why I'm bringing it to council and making the motion. And so that was the reason why I brought it forward, because I feel like after talking to the Municipal Resource Service Center, they were in concurrence that we did need to clean this up. And so that's why I'm bringing it forth and hoping that I would get support on it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ready for a vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
Okay.
Nay.
Nay.
Nays win. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on. Motion on the floor.
The original voucher,
Let's go
Mayor,
back.
is on the floor now for
Where's-
vote.
The payroll item.
Where is it?
That item that we moved. is now back on the floor.
Okay, so
Motion
motion approved.
Item number 2.
Item number 2, payroll. Where is it? Payroll December 5th.
Yeah.
Okay, 2025 dash 7817 through 7816, in the amount of 377,195.2. And December 19th, 2025, 78237 through 78240, the amount of 334,549 and 59 cents. December 31st, 2025, 78244 through 7825, in the amount of 528,147 and 27 cents. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay,
Opposed.
all, thank you for the unanimous decision-making on that.
I opposed to no.
Was there a no?
Yes.
I said no.
I am so sorry. Ms. Torges is noted as a nay. And it does pass. Thank you, everybody. Okay, I think we now can move on. Already? Yes, we're now going to move on to audience participation. We'll no longer be taking public comment at every item in the main agenda. Now would be the time to come forward to the podium to comment on any agenda items or any item that you wish to speak about. If you requested accommodation from the city clerk, wish to speak through the virtual platform, please raise your hand and we will take your comments after in-person comments. Please remember to state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak for the record. And on the item you wish to speak on, let us know that if you don't mind, and particularly if it's an item, agenda item, and you're limited to 3 minutes, as I mentioned. Anybody tonight wish to speak? Okay, come on up. You must be new in town. Welcome, Deb.
Hello and Happy New Year. Deborah Landers, 14615 438th Avenue Southeast in North Bend, Washington. And I'm here to talk a little bit about art and industry. Are you guys surprised? So first of all, I want you to be invited to our second Tuesday Muse Day. It's an artist reception. We have 3 local artists on our showcase wall, and it's this coming Tuesday on the 13th of January from 6 to 8. So I'm going to pass these around. Come and join us. We've got beverages, we've got snacks, we've got 3 amazing artists. You can mingle with the artists. You can bring home a gorgeous piece of art. You can just join us. So pass those around. Next, we're super excited. We're collaborating with Art Commons. They're a new nonprofit out of Issaquah that wants to bring more art and have it more accessible to our public areas. So they do a quarterly creative summit. And at their first creative summit, they did a sculpture, a community sculpture that's right now on display at the North Bend Library. Well, their second creative summit will be at the Center for Creativity on January the 23rd. They've got 3 speakers that are going to be talking about art as a catalyst for change. So a really cool presentation and speaking opportunity. We also have several artists that are going to be displaying pieces of art or mediums that demonstrate how art is used as a catalyst for change. And as this is the beginning of the new year, what a great topic. Please come and join us on January 23rd. More flyers. Probably isn't enough of those flyers. We also have a lot of cool classes in January, so I'm going to pass those around in a moment. We started up our new version of our writers group, the Quirk and Quill. They met for the first time tonight, so that's going to be twice a week. I'll leave some flyers at the back of the room for that. And then finally, after much anticipation, we're kicking off Curious Creators, and this is for the little ones. Every Sunday starting in February, it'll be all year long. Every Sunday for 2 hours, all kinds of creative activities that kids can choose from and learn from. It's free. Encourage people that you know that have children that maybe don't have art opportunities in school. This is a chance for them to try a number of mediums out. With that, how close am I to time? Because I'd love to tell you a little bit about 2025. So we moved to our new location. Things have kind of exploded from there. We had 108 classes that we did in 2025 with almost 700 people participating in classes. That's it. Thank you so much and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Anybody else from our wonderful public wish to speak? Yep. Mayor, please join us here. Thank you for being here tonight and welcome.
Thank you. Hello, council and staff. I am Jim Mayhew, the mayor of Snoqualmie. My address is 16733 39th Northeast, Snoqualmie, Washington. And I've been on the job for a few days. I have a pass that gets me into City Hall, and I've discovered it works great on New Year's Day, and that when you use it, you need to know the code for the alarm. I know that now. But seriously, that actually happened. The chief can tell you they had to come respond to that alarm. But I'm looking forward to all the things we're going to be able to together in the Upper Valley here. There's so much that the city of Snoqualmie and the city of North Bend, and then the rest of the Upper Valley with us can do together. I've already had some wonderful meetings with Mayor Miller as mayor-elect, and we've been talking about things like how do we bring tourism into the Upper Valley? How do we support our businesses? And there's other topics out there, aquatics, things that are on our community's minds. And I just want to say how much I look forward to working with all of you and with the city of North Bend as I take this new role on. So thank you, and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Anybody else from our wonderful public? Anybody? Oh, thank you, sir. Come on up to the podium when you're ready. Thank you for being here tonight.
My name's Jim Curtis, and I live at 615 Thrasher Avenue Northeast. I live in a home that my wife's dad built back in the early 70s. And we just had a heck of a problem with the flooding that took place. The water came out of E.J. Roberts Park over into my neighbor across the street and filled up his gully. And the pipes that go underneath Thrasher aren't large enough to hold that. They got plugged up. And so the water went over the top, and we almost lost a Bruce spruce there that's been growing for quite a while. And now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to repair that. But the guy across the street, Neil is his first name. I can't remember his last name. He told me that there's been money in the city's pockets to take care of all these ditches and I guess put culverts in or the big pipes. And he said to ask you why that hasn't been spent to do that. And I'm concerned too. My wife and I were visiting her mother while she was still alive back when they had the flood in the early 90s. It was on Thanksgiving Day, and the water came about that far from getting in the living room of the house. And I had to carry her out across. We didn't have a carport then or a driveway, but I had to carry her out in about knee-high water to get her in our car so we could go up to Mukilteo and spend the night with my wife's sister. But anyhow, that flooding, it's a real concern. And E.J. Roberts Park, it seems to me that there's so much water collecting there and it doesn't have any place to go but over to Neil's place. And then if it gets stuck in Neil's place, then it comes across the street. I had to move my cars. We had to stay at the hotel up at the casino for 3 nights because we're concerned about the water getting in there and damaging the home and maybe sweeping us away too. But is there something that's going to be done with that? Underneath Thrasher, there used to be a set of pipes, large pipes. And a few years ago, the city came in and they revamped things and put in some new pipes, but they're not big enough to handle the water. And then on our side, they put some grates down there where the pipes come out. So all the debris, and if a kid throws a ball in the pond over at Neil's place, it blocks up those deals. So those grates really need to be removed. And it seems like the water that when it leaves my ditch, there's like a culvert or a pipe that's about this big. If we had something that big underneath Thrasher, that would let the water flow. And if you're some of you probably are in homes and you've experienced that flooding. It's absolutely no fun at all. So And one other comment that I've got has to do with E.J. Roberts Park. We're in the Silver Creek development. And when E.J. Roberts developed that area,
I'll have to have you wrap up.
just need to change the name of the park.
Anybody else from our fantastic public? Anybody else online? Possibly?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to now move on to announcements, presentations, and appointments. Item number 4 is our proclamation of National Mentoring Month. Here we go. Whereas January 2026 will mark the 24th anniversary of National Mentoring Month, highlighting the need for mentors and the power of mentoring to ensure positive outcomes for young people. And whereas the City of North Bend honors volunteer mentors who strengthen our communities through programs like Youth Success Mentoring, a program of Empower Youth Network, building relationships that increase social capital and support networks. And whereas mentoring fosters career exploration, workplace skills, healthy relationships, positive self-esteem, and emotional well-being. And whereas students with mentors are more likely to attend school and enroll in college and avoid risky behaviors. And whereas National Mentoring Month is a time to celebrate, elevate, and encourage mentoring and recruit caring adults in the City of North Bend. Now, therefore, I, Mary Miller, Mayor, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2026 as National Mentoring Month in the City of North Bend and encourage those interested in becoming a youth mentor to contact Empower Youth Network and thank current youth mentors for devoting their time in an effort to ensure the success of our youth. Thank you so much. I do believe we have at least Kathy Hyland. Thank you for being here today. And mentor volunteer Michael Rosenau. Did I get your name right? Oh, good. Are here. Thank you for coming to the.
Michael is one of our amazing mentors.
Fantastic.
His partner, Newton. So we'll let Michael talk.
I love that. We love that. Thank you, Michael, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Michael Rosenau, and I'm a mentor at both Snoqualmie Middle School and Chief Canham Middle School with Empower Youth Network's Success Mentoring Program. Thank you for your leadership and proclaiming January as National Mentoring Month in the Snoqualmie Valley. We also appreciate your continued support and funding of our work. Since starting in 2017, Youth Success Mentoring has grown to serve all 17 schools in the Riverview and Snoqualmie Valley school districts, impacting 160 students weekly. The need for mentors continues to grow to support more students. As a current mentor, I cherish the opportunity to provide a reliable, genuine connection with my students every week. I believe we create a lasting impact on our students, their families, and beyond by consistently giving them our undivided attention and being enthusiastic to meet with them one-on-one. During National Mentoring Month, we're actively recruiting volunteers. Here's what we want everyone to know. Just 1 hour a week can make a difference in a local youth's life. Mentoring happens during the school day at local schools. Students are waiting for mentors, and volunteers receive training and ongoing support. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. If you wouldn't mind staying there for just a moment, I think we might have some interest from our council to just ask questions. If you're certainly at this moment, council wish to speak to Michael or Kathy or say anything. Ms. Rustic, yes,
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you for what you do. Thank you, Kathy. I know she provides amazing support to all of the mentors. How many would you guess, how many students are out there that are waiting for mentors at this time?
In Riverview, we currently have, I think, about 6 or 7 kids that are waiting. We did have one student at Falls City that waited for about a month for a specific mentor. The concern we're having now is we are down to the bottom. We have lots of mentors that are willing to take second mentees, and that's what's keeping the students getting matched right now, but that's going to run out. So if I were to have a student referred today, I don't have a mentor in my back. So the wait list for SPSD is over. We were able to fill that hole by having mentors step up and take more kids. In Riverview, we still have a wait list. Biggest need is we need females and men. Lately, we need to rein some in. So we've had a lot of boys that have single moms, and the schools would really like to have a male influence in their life. So we specifically wait for finding men. That's our hardest thing, is finding men. But we need to find everybody. So if you tell 5 people and they tell 5 people and they tell 5 people, we'll eventually get, and they say you need to hear it 5 times at least before you decide to commit to doing it. It's really very simple. So,
Kathy. Yeah. Heather.
I guess motivationally for people that would be nervous to be a mentor, how would you encourage people to not be insecure about that, to reach out and be a mentor?
so I would encourage them to talk to us. I'd encourage them, we do mentor meetups where anyone can come to those, and our mentors come together to just chat with each other and also chat with people who are interested in mentoring. So it's a great place to come and ask questions and get reassurances and see it really is very simple. And if they don't want to do that, they could talk to myself or Heather, my partner that we work with. We provide a lot of support for our mentors. You're not alone, and you get support all the way through. So,
Great. Second question is, if I could talk to people 5 times, I know a specific basketball group of men that I'm thinking of. How would they get a hold of you?
So they can go to our website, empoweryouth.org, and we have a page. If you look under Programs Youth Success Mentoring, they can email beamentor@empoweryouth.org. Either of those ways, they can go to it, or they're welcome to email me directly. I'd be glad to leave my card with all of you today. They can email me directly. So it's very simple. Our website has a page on it, and it has a big button that says apply. You click it, you just fill out the little form, comes right to us. We do an interview, and then we do a 2.5-hour training. And we do all background checks and clearances and reference checks, and then the school does as well. So it's a double check system to keep our kids safe. And then we have ongoing training. That is optional for all of our mentors. We have chances for mentors to meet up with each other and chat with each other if they like. Some of our mentors like the social aspect, especially our retirees. It's a way for them to get out and talk to others. Yeah, we have a lot of fun. And then we really are there every step of the way to support you. So,
Thank you, Heather. Anyone else from council wish to say anything? No. Okay, well, hold on right there. Thank you both very much, and all that you do, and all the volunteers as well. I'd like to bring this up and get a little photo op before we miss out that opportunity.
and Heather, you could talk to Christina. She was one of our mentors before you guys scooped her up and our grandbabies. So that's right. It doesn't just use it.
Not Joe.
Thanks so much. Bye, guys. Oh, do you guys want cards?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Let's see, item number 5, AB 26011, 2026 Council Committee Standing Appointments. Mayor Pro Tem Tremolata, I'll turn it over to you. Keep those aside.
Thank you, Mayor. So after some conversations and working off what I would consider significant progress in 2025, try to keep the ball rolling and move some folks around who hadn't been in some committees during their tenure, try to leverage some of the new expertise coming on board with Mr. McFarland. So the committees are outlined below. I'll run through them quickly. Community and Economic Development Committee will be chaired by Councilmember Torgerson with Councilmember Elwood and Councilmember Jocelyn. Public Health and Safety Committee will be chaired by Councilmember Elwood with Councilmember Colin and Councilmember Torgerson. Finance and Administration Committee will be chaired by Councilmember Rustick with Councilmember Jocelyn and Councilmember McFarland. And the Transportation Public Works Committee will be chaired by Councilmember Colin and Councilmember McFarland and Councilmember Rustick. I think this puts us in a position to make some good progress this year, and I look forward to more good work that we had from 2025 into 2026.
Fantastic.
And I'll make the motion then. Make
Yes.
motion to approve AB 26-001, confirming the 2026 appointments to the council's standing committees.
Second.
Okay, motion, thank you very much, Errol. Motion made by Errol and seconded by Mr. Jocelyn. Let's see, would you like to speak to your motion, Errol?
No, like I said, I think this is a good setup, and I look forward to making progress this year.
Excellent. Mr. Jocelyn, would you like to speak to your motion?
I'd like to acknowledge Mayor Pro Tem Tremolata for no, this wasn't easy. We're a strong-minded bunch of folks who have preferences and have been at this a little while. And so I just want to acknowledge, Errol, your hard work. I'm very supportive. I look forward to serving with my fellow council members in the new year. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Jocelyn. Any other on council wish to comment? Oh, it's quiet. Okay, I'll go forward then. Now that there are no initial comments, the motion for you is to approve AB 26-001, confirming the 2026 appointments to the council's standing committees. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Moving on to introductions, item number 6, AB 26-002, resolution ratifying proclamation of emergency. Ms. Emery, now is your time.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Good luck.
I'm presenting on AB 26002. This is the resolution ratifying and confirming December 10th, 2025 proclamation of local emergency. I'll give a quick brief on the agenda bill, and then I'm going to ask Tom, Aaron, and James to give a quick brief on each of their sections of how we responded during the flood emergency. And then, of course, all of us will be available for any questions that Council has after I give the brief report about the resolution. So on December 8th, King County Executive declared and issued an emergency proclamation for King County due to the severe storms and flooding that was happening. On December 9th, the team and I met with the mayor and briefed on the deteriorating conditions around North Bend. At that point, we were looking at declaring a proclamation of local emergency. As it stated in the agenda bill, our emergency conditions are defined in our emergency management plan and also RCWs and the North Bend Municipal Code 2.68. On December 10th, Mayor Miller proclaimed a local emergency that existed in North Bend as defined by RCW 39.04280(3). This emergency may require purchases and authorizations contracts outside of the public procurement process and the city's procurement policy and procedures, except mandatory conditional requirements. So this time the city is only where we have a Fury Works on-call contract that Tom will talk about a little bit in his report, which we brought to council on approval on a separate item. So at this point, I'll pass to Tom to give an update from the Public Works perspective, and then on to Aaron and then James, and then we'll take any questions that council.
Thank you, Ms. Emery. Tom, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So just wanted to give a quick update on the storm and the Public Works response. So we received approximately 8 inches of rain between December 4th and December 11th. Going back into the records to the early 2000s, there was only one event that was about half that amount in that same time frame. And then when you consider that we received probably 2 to 3 times that amount in the mountains, it's pretty easy to see why there was so much flooding happening down here in the valley. And not only are we dealing with the flooding, but we're dealing with very high and unusually high groundwater issues and still dealing with them in certain areas around town. Some of our typical problem areas that we've dealt with in the past and we dealt with during this storm, Mount Si Boulevard being underwater due to stormwater backing up onto the roadway, State Route 202 and the South Fork Avenue intersection being underwater as well, Gardner Creek flooding behind the outlet mall, the Safeway complex flooding, the Ryberry Creek sediment pond flooding over Ryberry Way just east of Forester Woods, and then numerous drainage issues in the New Sideview development, Old Sideview development, Silver Creek, and the Cedar Landing development. We had some flooding of the animal clinic on State Route 202 adjacent to Gardner Creek. And then a few spots in Forester Woods, we had the creeks jumping their banks and getting into people's backyards and on a few occasions into their houses. And then the biggest issue was the Middle Fork overtopping the levee in the Silver Creek neighborhood. And then on top of all this, the wastewater treatment plant had record flows, and our treatment plant staff did a phenomenal job. At this point, we haven't had any signs of issues. They took care of that. And then our South Fork lift station, one of our pumps at our South Fork lift station, as it was working 24 hours a day with all this flood, went out on us. So then we had staff out there 24/7 tending that. So our treatment, I just wanted to give kudos to our treatment plant staff. They did a phenomenal job with the plant and the lift station. Prior to the flooding, one thing about a flood event is emergency event is you can kind of see it coming. It's not a power outage. It's not an earthquake. So there is some prep work you can do ahead of time. So we divided our public works crew into a few kind of essential teams just to maintain daily operations, but at the same time provide 24-hour coverage for the flood event. We had a couple staff members, a couple of kind of rovers and crew constantly patrolling town, just trying to stay ahead of as many problems as we could, and then reporting that back to Bree so she could get it out. And the biggest issue was the Silver Creek neighborhood, and we actually had staff and police knocking on doors on some of those people in the Silver Creek neighborhood, the east side of Silver Creek, just making sure they're aware of that potential of that levee overtopping. Not necessarily an evacuation, but just so they're aware, if they could get their vehicles out, that type of thing. We also contacted a few contractors, Fury Siteworks in particular, prior to the project, and a couple others, just as we were anticipating problems and the need for that help. Wanted to give thanks to Mike Day with Fury Siteworks. He met us up in Forester Woods and dealt with a few of our issues up there, in particular the creeks jumping the banks and getting into people's backyards and into their houses near our 710 pump station. So with that, and on top of all that, then we had the slide on I-90, which diverted traffic on eastbound I-90 on the eastbound North Bend Way, while we had Bendigo closed from Park Street to exit 31. So we had State Patrol, we had police, we had our staff at key intersections just trying to direct people because everybody wanted to go their own way, but everything closed. So we were trying to keep them on North Bend Way so they could get out to exit 32, exit 34. We got through that after about 24 hours or so. I think the traffic died down there a little bit, but just another nuance to the event that you weren't expecting. Many lessons learned during the meeting or during the event. Designating a volunteer for coordinators is one thing we will do in the future. There was times when we probably had 30 people out there packing sandbags and bringing them around, and that's a lot of traffic coming in there in that area with our crew trying to get in and out. And then one thing from a PR standpoint is we provided a list of roadway closures. I think in the future, if we can do it, providing more of a map, kind of that people can see. There's a lot of looky-loos that come into town when an event like this happens, and there's a lot of people that just don't know the area that well. So a map is nice to see. With all that, I can answer any questions after this, but I'll hand it over to Erin to go over the EOC details.
Thank you. It's kind of hard to follow that. Everyone did such a phenomenal job. You can't even start to describe that. So I've been the emergency management coordinator here for going on 6 years now. In that time, I have worked with staff, tabletop exercises, trying to get training out to council members, employees, not always an easy task, but now we understand why it's so important, right? Aside from that, a big part of my job is my interactions with our zone partners. And I've spent a lot of time trying to build that. Zone 1 within King County is all cities north of I-90. So we fall within those cities. So we meet weekly every Thursday at 2 to collaborate, talk about upcoming events, what people are worried about, all of that. So it's just an opportunity for us to all get together. But with that, I was able to build relationships that helped with my first EOC experience. So I'm just going to kind of go through the timeline within the EOC. Some of it will be duplicated, but that's okay. Just bear with me. So one of the big ones for me is King County. Like I said, every Thursday we have a weekly phone call. Those started Thursday before this event happened. We knew something was coming. So we're on guard already. Eastside Fire, a big partner of mine. I'm very close with their emergency managers there. City of Snoqualmie, learning and meeting them, but I was able to work with Chief Bailey through this situation. City of Issaquah, just an example of that relationship. They called to check in on us just to see how we were doing out here before they went into what they were going through themselves. So building those has been very important in my role. So based on that and based on the predictions that were coming Monday morning, as Amber said, we all met some of the key staff members just to discuss what was coming, what the need was going to look like. Did we have enough sand? Did we have enough supplies for public works? Did they have what they needed to go out and about in the community? So with that, we just kept monitoring. We weren't activated yet, partially activated yet, but we were talking about it. So that night, as the rain kept going, I couldn't sleep. I'm learning in this role, you don't sleep when you know your community is being threatened by water. So I get on social media at 4 a.m. and I see the outlet mall being flooded, and I see different people talking about their communities and their fears and sandbags and all of that. So the deputy public works director and myself went out and did a drive around town, you know, just assessing different areas throughout town just to see what was happening. And so after that, the rivers were obviously rising quite frequently, as you know, but we called a second meeting. So Tuesday, staff met again to say we're going to partially activate. And with that, we notified police and fire that we were going to do that as well. So while we were partially activated, it just gives us an opportunity. So we weren't fully activated. We knew we needed to assess the situation and monitor it and make sure we had what we needed. Wasn't quite bad enough yet for a full activation, but we did know that citizens, residents of the city, business owners, they needed sandbags. That was our biggest thing, that first partial activation. And we went through it quick. So because we were activated early, I was able to call county and say, hey, we need 80 cubic yards of sand. And that night, within an hour and a half, we had it. So that part was great because in the end, we ended up giving out about 8,000 sandbags. So it was insane. So when we talk about volunteers, that's why. That's 8,000 sandbags that those people are filling up on their own. So that was a big deal. Wednesday, as it kept getting worse, we decided to fully activate. So with that, I keep my communication with King County Office of Emergency Management. They know every step of the way what we're doing. Just going to go through a few notes here of all the important roles that staff played within that are happening in that little tiny room over at the Public Works Admin Building. But it was continued coordination with the King County duty officer at the Emergency Operations Center. We had regular check-ins with the emergency management with Eastside Fire and Rescue. Felt really guilty because Greg Bodden was kind enough to come out and just assess what was going on out here, and he got stuck in traffic on the mudslide and couldn't get back for 3 hours, 4 hours, I'm not even sure. But that's that collaboration and that relationship that we have. Frequent check-ins with the police department, who was in constant communication with our public works department. Communication with Fire Chief Bailey at Snoqualmie. As they were flooding worse and worse, they wanted to collaborate with us on shelter services. So how could we work with them because they were just underwater, right? So, I mean, I don't mean to be funny there, but we weren't. So we actually were able to collaborate with the school district to have Twin Falls Middle School open up as a shelter. Our staff went and took care of that. You'll hear about that in a minute. It's cool that we were able to do that. It was unfortunate because Snoqualmie residents that were in need couldn't get here to utilize the shelter. So we needed it. We ended up with 7 people that needed that space and a place to go, which was phenomenal to have that. Through that process as well comes the partnership with the Red Cross, which I've worked on building for the last 3 or 4 years. On the phone with them multiple times throughout the day. Their need ended up being higher in other areas because we just didn't have the numbers in our shelter. Had it been a different circumstance, they would have been here. And I do believe that. I mean, they were ready. They just kept asking, what are your numbers now? What are your numbers now? So they could decide whether they came here, down to Maple Valley, where their need was. So it was great to have that. One tool that we have in our EOC with King County, it's called Web EOC. So that is our way to keep in contact constantly with King County without having to be on the phone. It's an online system that we can put in our situation reports, do resource requests, update roads. Bree did great at updating her press releases. So they can just look on there, see where we're at, don't have to make that phone call. They could just have one dedicated person looking at that. So we keep continuously updating that information there for them. Fielding a lot of phone calls. One lesson learned there was don't put the main phone in the EOC by the incident commander, because I was on the phone, Bree was on the phone, many of us all night long, because people were scared, didn't know how to get home, wanted to know if they could get sandbags, wanted to volunteer. I mean, everything you can think of. People were reaching out to us, and it was all hands on deck, but that room was very busy and loud at times, but that was great. Our staff were wonderful. We had daily briefings multiple times a day, and that was the great collaboration. Now with where our EOC is located over at Public Works, we can have that close communication with our departments right there. And I think they really enjoyed that as well, that ability to just walk in and have that conversation. Thank you to Mayor Pro Tem for coming in and checking in on us as well. That was phenomenal. Shout out to Carrie Smith. She ran the front desk where every volunteer and person needing sandbags came to her. I have a stack of papers, very thick, of everyone that signed in that day. So, I mean, the list goes on and on of how great it went that day. Granted, there's a lot of areas that, we're learning from. My first activation, exciting. I don't know if it's okay to say that, but it was, just to be able to see it work and what we've done and how it's all come together. Yeah, I'm not going to talk anymore about the shelter because that's going to be James. But, following up after this, we had a debrief immediately Monday following the event. So we were able to pull every single person that was involved in that EOC and a couple from out in the field to talk about what went on, what we can work on, what went well, just all of that. So we've got a long list of things they're called opportunities, I hear. Opportunities where we can grow, and it's going to be great. So that's the EOC side.
Thank you, Erin. Hi, James.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So I'll give an update about the emergency evacuation center and then sort of the economic recovery that we worked on following the storm. So as Erin mentioned, the city of North Bend opened an emergency shelter on Wednesday, December 10th in the afternoon. Initially, the shelter was open at Twin Falls Middle School. Staff from finance and community and economic development opened the shelter and purchased snacks and refreshments from local grocery stores and made the shelter ready for evacuees. So I just want to give a big shout out to the finance team and also the CED team for really rising to the occasion and helping out that evening. The local faith-based communities and volunteers responded quickly with blankets, coats, and games for evacuees. So a big thank you to them as well. The shelter received a total of 6 evacuees from Snoqualmie. We anticipated receiving many more evacuees, but the closure of I-90 and Highway 202 limited access to North Bend. Realizing that no new evacuees would be arriving, we relocated the evacuation center to Cascade Covenant Church, just down here at Cedar Falls Way. The church did a great job to provide a comfortable location to house a small number of evacuees overnight, and the church volunteers did a great job welcoming the evacuees and providing them with an overnight shelter. By around 10 a.m. on Thursday morning, the evacuees were picked up by family, friends, and social service volunteers. One of the things we really sort of recognized very, very quickly when we opened the evacuation center is that most of the families that arrived had very limited time to evacuate their homes. And this caused a lot of severe and significant emotional distress. There was actually one couple that was really having a very hard time. We had to call Eastside Fire and Rescue to have them come out and provide some medical support to them. Fortunately, it wasn't anything serious. And when we relocated them to the church, the situation was much, much better. So I'll move on to the economic recovery. Unfortunately, the storm hit North Bend during the height of the holiday shopping season. On Friday, December 12th, economic development staff and Jessica Self from the Downtown Foundation went door to door and talked with nearly 80 businesses across North Bend and asked if they were, 1, open for business, and 2, if they were impacted by the storm. Overall, storm damage to the business community was relatively light. The Line and North Bend Theater had groundwater flooding, but were open by the weekend. About 10 suites at the Outlet Mall were damaged by flooding from the Ryberry Creek. There was also localized flooding at Safeway and QFC. However, the North Bend Animal Clinic on Highway 202 had considerable damage but had reopened within a couple of weeks. On December 16th, the city convened a meeting with the Downtown Foundation and the Snow Valley Chamber to develop a social media plan to promote to residents and visitors that North Bend is open for business and to encourage them to shop local. The city also shared information about disaster loans from the Small Business Administration with the business community through both the Downtown Foundation and the Snow Valley Chamber. basically to help local businesses who may have been impacted by the storm. I just want to give a big shout out to both Jessica Self at the foundation, Michelle Catoir and Kelly Coughlin at the Snow Valley Chamber for their tremendous help to the local business community. And just as Aaron was saying about partnerships, I think it's the partnerships that we've been developing both with the chamber and the foundation that really kind of made this work, because we were able to communicate via text, via social media, and really kind of rally the troops to, help the evacuation center, but also help businesses as well. Thanks.
Thank you, James. Council, do you have any questions or comments to make? Heather.
Thank you. So we had our first Public Health and Safety Committee meeting this afternoon at 4 p.m. And it was brought to our attention that maybe you didn't have all the things that you needed during the flood, such as like barriers to block streets. And if so, could you tell me more about what you need or would have been helpful?
I'll take the first shot at this, but yeah, I mean, there were so many road closures that we ran out of barricades. I think we provided some to Snoqualmie as well to help with them on 202 out by the high school. So yeah, a need for more signage, barricades, a need for more like portable generator, pumping equipment type things to help. Like in this case, the South Fork lift station was underwater. Anything we can do to pump that down so the crew can go out there and work instead of 6 inches of water running over their feet and dealing with power and all that stuff around there. It's not a safe situation. So backup, smaller generators, portable pumping equipment, street barricades, that type of stuff. Definitely could have used more of that.
Thank you. I have one thing to add to that. One piece that I've talked to Amber and a few others about 800 megahertz radios. So in a more severe event where our radios are super busy, the North Bend Areas team isn't available to help out, that would give us an opportunity to, talk to the King County Emergency Operations Center, talk to Eastside Fire, talk to the police department on that 800 megahertz radio system. So that's something I'm looking into as well.
Thank you. Errol.
Yeah. First, I just want to say how impressive it was. Aaron, you did an incredible job to have such a cool, calm personality running the show, and then seeing everybody execute was pretty impressive. And I'll tell you, I think I told you guys during the debrief, but I'll tell council during the event, the volunteers and the folks in the community were so impressed and appreciative of how active we were. Obviously, things are exciting and live, and problems are occurring quickly. But I think across the region, there was so much damage. North Bend folks felt very safe and secure that they knew the city was working for them and adjusting as the days were going on. So just incredible work, really impressed. And I think one thing I'll just share here, because I was able to be a part of some of that. I took a ride along with Tom late at night to check those levees. How much thoughtfulness and strategy was involved in actually looking at every part of this, from the early partial EOC all the way through the thick of it. And that night that we drove around town, I think a lot of that is important for us to understand at scale. So I'd like to maybe see at some point during this year, maybe we can work in a work study for all of council to walk through more live, like how that occurred, and maybe through some future hypotheticals. And to Councilmember Colin's point, kind of maybe flagging and pinpointing, this was the point where, had we had those radios or had we had more barricades, maybe we can walk through and understand why we need those things and at what point. So, in 8 to 10 months, when we're potentially in that position again, we're maybe more prepared, or we can, as council, take some more active measures to get those things lined up for us. But incredible work. That was really, really impressive.
Thank you, Errol. Anybody else from council? All hands are up now. Let's go Rustic and go Twergeson and then Elwood.
Okay, I'll keep it short because yes, it was extremely impressive, just all of the activity that was going on. And I know residents of Snoqualmie were complimentary of the city of North Bend, and I was so proud of you all. And thank you to Bree for all of the communications. I felt like I had like up to the minute knowledge of what was going on. So thank you very much. Just a quick question, maybe for Aaron. We heard a resident here talk about, the issues he had and ended up going up to the hotel. thoughts on it clearly in the message that we had resources here in town where people could go, didn't reach them. Any thoughts on how we could address that in the future?
I know for this event, it was on the news channels through King County EOC. We had it on social media, always open to suggestion if there's other avenues within those moments. But one thing for those areas that may have been a possibility, there's, the Code Red system. But I mean, that's more like you need to get out type of situation, which is a resource that we would have utilized had Silver Creek needed it that night. But that would be one other way to get the word out. If they had to evacuate, that would have been part of the message, but open to suggestion always. So, yeah.
Christina, I'm sorry, Susan.
Yeah, I just want to say I stopped by and checked it out. Very well run. I mean, you guys were on top of it. Everyone, there was like no one sitting still. Everybody was working hard and it was really impressive to see. And I just wanted to say kudos to everyone and thank you for stepping up and doing it because, not everybody has a passion for that, but you could tell everybody did in that situation. And it was great to see. I can't point out just one person. I mean, every single person was doing an excellent job. So just thank you for that.
Thank you, Susan. Brendan.
Yes, thank you for the update and the report. And I imagine, and thank you, Councilmember Tremolata, for bringing up that maybe we have a little bit more of a connective tissue and do some more analysis that we had more soak time. But I just wanted to say, I was out of state observing this, panicking because my daughter was at home. What do I do? And I'm FaceTiming her, telling her how to lift things on blocks, all this other stuff. A friend came by and helped get some sandbags. But from their report to other people in the community that I've talked to, it was just a hands down amazing feedback that I've received. And as a result, I think our community has actually weathered the storm quite well, pun intended there. So I just want to say thank you to all staff that was there managing this and getting through everybody. It was a peace of mind for me knowing that, hey, okay, Piper, my daughter, you can go here. There's people here and there's people that were gracious enough to offer their homes in case ours were flooded. We live on the river. So thank you for all of that. A couple items that came to mind for me specifically that I hope we can work on this year. And Tom, I think you alluded to it, which is the interior saturation point was the biggest problem that I saw, at least in my neighborhood. And what I'm attributing that to is that we have had turnover in real estate. So a lot of legacy property owners who know where the flood channels are, things like that, usually kept them open, kept them clear. New people come in, put up fences, there's things like that. So I'm just wondering long term what we could do to focus on the interior of the river system. In talking with King County, they were very clear to me that they focus on the river itself and the levees and all that, which makes perfect sense. But inside the city limits, within the limits of the river levee system, could be a problem. We heard testimony earlier, Mr. Curtis talking about his house, and this is kind of a rare backup point. So I'm just wondering if there's some initiative that we could put in mind, maybe get forward, and I'll try to spearhead a little bit on public health and safety, is what we can do to drive greater awareness and education to folks that live within the city that may not be worried too much about the river coming over the levee because there's already a lake in your front yard. Like my house was a moat, right? I had a moat all the way around it. So that's kind of thing one. Thing two is a while ago, maybe 3-4 administrations ago, we had good council EOC training. I don't know how many people have gone through that, but I think there's certifications of certain levels. And I found that very rewarding. And I would like to revisit that as a council, because if you're here and you don't know what to do, that gives you that little bit of confidence to come here, show up, and then just know where the clipboard is, how to start helping is how to start chipping in. So I'm just wondering if council would support of that, if we could do some sort of EOC type of command type of thing and understanding the whole dynamics, the processes and things. So I don't know if that's already in motion, but I just put it back out there because I found it rewarding years ago and definitely could use a refresher after this last blast.
Tom, do you want to take the flooding piece first, and then I'll talk about the planning that we're going to be looking at for the emergency management piece?
So from a flooding and kind of groundwater standpoint, our current standards with like a new development or stuff are going to take into account all those flood channels and that type of stuff. I think when you're dealing with two neighborhoods in particular, Silver Creek and Old Siveview, there's just a lack of stormwater infrastructure in those neighborhoods. I think Silver Creek has some in 6th and 4th Street, and that's about it. And everything north of there is just open swales and flood channels, which I will, where the levee overtopped in Silver Creek, there's 3 flood channels that run through Silver Creek. That flood channel did its job. It made its way to that flood channel and worked its way through, and it got into some houses. Those houses are right next to the flood channel. It did its job. In Old Sideview, there is no storm drainage infrastructure. It's shallow swales, and people have probably filled in some of the channels in their yards throughout the years. So that's something I'd have to look into and get back to you on about what we could do about that. In Old Sideview, I would say in what I saw driving through there and after, it's a huge groundwater issue out there. Especially right by your house, Brendan. You're in a low spot right there by the river, and and you got seepage coming through the levee when the river's up high. We had an extended event. It was 2.5, 3 days where the river was up at flood stages. There's a lot of seepage. As an example, I walked the right bank along the South Fork from the wastewater treatment plant up to North Bend Way. And there was 3 feet of water on the backside of the levee that's just seepage coming through. So there's that, there's groundwater, there's old developments that don't have proper drainage, but definitely something we can look at for those older neighborhoods. And to address the gentleman that was here earlier, we do have preliminary design funds to replace a lot of the stormwater and flood culverts in Silver Creek. We're at about the 60% design level. Their flood control district, King County Flood Control District funds. We're waiting for the flood control district to review our alternative analysis. And his question in particular was, can't we just put a culvert right there and replace that? If we did that, we're just shifting the problem down the road to 100 feet to the next homeowner. So we're looking at that whole area as a whole. And if we can get flood control district funds for construction in the next few years, that's something we'll do there. So.
I appreciate that, because the education piece, at least for me and my neighbors, is one. We have a lot of people, and they're like, "What is going on? What have I moved into?" It's like, welcome North Bend.
I got the same welcome. So on the education piece and the training and those areas, so Erin and I have been working on, and we'll continue to kind of develop that criteria for this year of bringing back on a work study, kind of 3 components. As one, how do our AOCs function through different events? And then we'll look through that piece. We'll also look at the certification piece. The FEMA analysis is great for legislative officers. And then how we tier. So I've been involved in EOCs for riots, and I've been involved in EOCs for fire and various other elements. And we have a lot of weather elements out here that we can definitely train for, and they're going to be different. Like Tom mentioned, a flood, we can prepare for, we can see it coming. We can know earthquake's going to be different. Wildfire is going to be different. So I think that those are our components that we'll be able to look at, and Erin's putting some exercises together for that. So we will be training on that, and how typically we set up an EOC is that we have a small group that's in there that can pivot, and then we have a larger group on the outside. So like, for example, if council's on the outside, taking phone calls from residents, or how do we engage that? So we'll have those tiers set up, and that's typically how I set up those processes, is how we kind of set up that command structure. And really, like when we were talking about the volunteer piece, is we set up that shelter really quickly. But, Errol was contacted. We had a bunch of people that wanted to volunteer, and how do we coordinate that? And there's also some civic engagement we can do with some EOC training out in the community, to your point of a lot of new residents. How do we take care of our own property while keeping our family safe, and then listening to what the government's doing? So we'll have a couple layers to that coming up this year with the lessons learned that we had from the EOC.
I'm sure this could be an added criteria to the citizens.
Yes, we actually discussed that in our debrief for sure.
Did I miss anybody else? No? Okay, well, I don't want to go on ad nauseum, but most everything that was said tonight, I completely and utterly agree with. Fantastic results from an amazing team that kept the calm during a pretty incredible storm. So kudos to all of you. You're amazing people. And thank you, Errol, for stepping up too. You were amazing to watch calmly and accurately with your information. Your willingness to step up as well. So I appreciate you all. And of course, our East Side Fire and Rescue team and Snowpo back there, Chief, thank you very much. And your team and King County sheriffs. I mean, there were so many people to thank. I feel remiss that I'm going to forget somebody. So I my heart is just full, because this was my first experience as mayor to step into this role with EOC and to see it ignite in a good way. I mean, and then really the flow and the action and honestly, the people of North Bend and beyond, I wish to thank you incredibly for your efforts as well. So I hope people are listening and sometimes at some point know from my heart to yours how incredible your efforts are too. So it all worked together. Fortunately, we weren't as in bad shape as some other cities, as we all know, but it's not a matter of, when. It's not a matter about it's about if it's going to happen again. At some point, we're going to have another event, but we're going to be more and more prepared as we go along. So I have full confidence in you all. So anyway, back to you. I think, Mr. Tremolata, we're going to take it back to you to make the motion at this point.
Sure. Motion to approve AB 26-0-002, a resolution ratifying and confirming December 10th, 2025 proclamation of local emergency.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Motion made by Mr. Tremolata and second by Mr. Elwood. Would you like to speak to your motion, Mr. Tremolata?
No, I think we spoke enough. It was an incredible job. I might add, I may be more effective with a radio next time. Just Amber. If we're getting them, I won't.
There you go. Mr. Elwood, you have any comments to make?
No, just again, well done, fantastic job. Buzz in the community was a very positive vibe, and that was due to all of your leadership and everybody else who stepped up and from all your departments and did fantastic work. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Any other council members wish to comment? Okay, the motion before us is to approve AB 25-0202, a resolution ratifying and confirming December 10th, 2025 proclamation of local emergency. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to Mayor, Council, and Administrative current concerns and initiative. Let's start with Mr. McFarland tonight, if you don't mind.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
So I wrote down a few thoughts, but very, very briefly. So there are a lot of thoughts running through my mind tonight. January 6th, a troublesome anniversary, as many of us are aware. But first, many community members have expressed concerns about where the city's headed, services, budgets, etc. And I just want council, everyone out there, to know that my overarching goal for my role on council is to support and assist my fellow council members in providing the policy and budgetary guidance so that our city staff can best address those concerns, as has been so evident in what they've been doing of late. I've met with nearly all current council members, as well as several former council members, and heard about much of the past. I've watched several of the council meetings in the past year, and I believe that this council is working really well together as a unit, and I hope that I am able to continue in that vein with you. With that said, much bigger concerns on my mind, and I'm going to take the opportunity to express it, being handed a forum. I know you can't tell, but I'm a child of the latter 60s and 70s, my formative years. Very challenging time for our representative democracy. And as a follower of the real erosion that I feel is underway in our systems of governance, the rule of law, separation of powers, the list is just endless. I find a lot of song lyrics running through my head from the war protest era. And so from time to time, I might mention one. And so I offer just one for you tonight. I hope you'll look it up, give it a listen, and even more importantly, read the words very carefully. And that is the song For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield, 1966. I'll share just one line. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. I want to thank you all the community members, for the support and the continued input that you give to all of us. A big thank you to all of the city staff who are ever in service to our community and the residents and businesses alike that they serve. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember McFarland. Councilmember Jocelyn.
That's a hard act to follow. I just am nothing but supportive. I'm glad to have you here on board, Rob. I look forward to a productive year. I share right deep abiding. I too am a child of the 60s and have a really deep concern for the state of our country, the total running over of a rule-based international order makes it hard to sleep at night. One of the beauties of this undertaking that we're engaged in here together is that I hope to lead by example and express to the folks who live in here that the government does have a role in making our lives better. It's a third leg of the stool. And so I'm honored to have the opportunity to continue to serve and work with you all towards that end. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, my 2026 resolution is to actually have something meaningful to say every night on this list. So I did actually prepare and write this down, but I do want to first parlay a couple of things. First, welcome Councilmember McFarland. I'm excited to work with you and excited to have you on board. I also want to parlay off our flood conversation. The work's still not done, especially with our small businesses and our local economy. The January period is typically a slow season. You've already seen a few different businesses announce new January hours, which are cut back. So let's all please be deliberate and focus our dollars where we can here in town. Our businesses need it. And so the part that I did include, so I don't have much of a platform to the public, but I do have a small one here, and I will be intentional about this every meeting this time and this year. And I want to ensure that we foster an ongoing conversation about mental health. Mental health matters, whether you are a student, a parent, a grandparent, a corporate worker, a tradesperson, a first responder, or a veteran. Whatever role you play in this world, the conversation about mental health is important for all of us. I'll ask all of us to check in on a friend or family member. Don't hesitate. The phone calls do matter. If you're struggling, reach out, grab a cup of coffee, and have a conversation with whomever you are willing. Don't let the hard days win. Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. Christina.
That was well said. Yes, I just wanted to say Happy New Year and acknowledge what was said about how well this council does work together. And we welcome you, Councilmember McFarland, to join us. So we're looking forward to a successful 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather.
Yeah, about the flooding, our staff did amazing. We did well compared to other cities, which I'm grateful for, and sorry for those other cities. But I would like to mention that all my friends throughout Snoqualmie Valley all checked in on each other to make sure everybody was okay. And it made me realize my friend from Snoqualmie, my friend from Carnation, we're all interconnected and looking out for each other. And so I'm just proud of our community. Thank you.
Wonderful. Susan.
Yes. So yeah, I'm welcome, Rob. It'll be nice to have you on board. You have a unique background to share with us all that we can all probably use some of your insights as we deliberate different ideas. I wanted to quickly mention one of my concerns is the fact that we don't, and probably everybody knows this, but I'm just going to say it again. I'm concerned that we don't have a 26 salary schedule in place. I would love it if we would make one just temporarily until we put one in place. That would make me feel more comfortable. I also feel like we need to potentially put together financial reports at the finance meeting. Well, actually for all of council. I'd like to see like a budget versus actual financial reports, put some policies in place like that. Maybe some other policies that we can start working on to make things run more smoothly and educate all of council when they need to be educated. I'm looking forward to us all working well together. I know we all deeply care about North Bend. We may approach things differently, but we all do share that desire to make North Bend better. We want to help our businesses, and I'm hope that we can make some progress that way this year.
Thank you, Susan. Brandon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Welcome, Rob. Look forward to working with you. I've worked with you, I don't know, 15, 16 planning commission days. So we go back. So looking forward to that. And I'm going to just keep it short. I'm so glad to say goodbye to 2025 on so many different levels, nationally, internationally, personally. There's just good riddance. I don't think I've ever felt so happy to be out of a year as opposed that I've ever experienced this year. So I'm looking forward to 2026. I think we have a crack team here. I think we have a crack team here. I do believe I'm committed to making sure that we do a lot of good for our community. That's what we're here for. We're all public servants, and that's where our vested interest is. And so I'm really looking forward to what we're able to achieve this year. So thank you all for all that you do, and I look forward to the next 300 and some odd days. Cheers.
Wonderful. Thank you. Amber.
Yeah, I just wanted to say happy 2026, and I look forward to this year. I agree. I think we have the great team on both sides that can take a lot of projects across the finish line. And welcome to Councilmember McFarland. I look forward to our continued conversations. They've been great so far, and look forward to that. And just thank you to all the work we did last year, and look forward to this new productive new year that we have upon us.
Thank you for that. Okay, well, welcome again. Happy New Year, everybody. Can't say that enough. We at the city are very excited about this new year and remain full of hope and optimism for the future. So happy New Year, everyone. The city was named 2026 Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation recently in honor of its commitment to effective urban forest management. North Bend achieved Tree City USA recognition by meeting the program's 4 requirements: a tree board or department, a tree care ordinance, an annual community forestry budget of at least $2 per capita, and an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. Thank you to staff and Parks Commission for helping to achieve this designation. And just a reminder that a map of the city's snowplow routes, yes, snow, I'm talking about it, include, and I like snow, don't get me wrong, including new neighborhoods and the streets, is available on the city's website. Please check it out. The map identifies priorities 1, 2, and 3 snowplow routes throughout the city limits, as well as priority access points and locations. After consultation with Mayor Pro Tem, we have decided that there is no need for the tentatively scheduled special work study on January 13th. Our next regularly scheduled work study will be held on January 27th. City offices will be closed Monday, January 19th, in observance of Martin Luther King Day, Jr. Day, excuse me. And at this time, I'd like to motion for adjournment. Who would like to join me? Yep. Okay. Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Have a great week.